Hey, what is up, guys? It's Cam Bam here. Today we're going to be doing a continuation and part 2 of our album ranking series from 2025 so far. We have 11 new albums to rank today, just 2 months after part 1. This year has already proven to me that this is a great year for music. We're going to be going into the top 3 songs from each album. We're even going to go into possibly some least favorite songs from the albums. And then we're going to be ranking them all together on a tier list, even with the part 1 album. So we're going to be getting into that. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so first album we have up is Ian Dior's Cycles. Now, I was looking really forward to this album. I'm not going to lie, I did get some satisfaction from it. It was a tiny bit of a letdown, though. I thought it would have a lot more like hype instrumentals in it, but a lot of the songs weren't that way. They were a lot more chill and just had very mellow vibes to them. They didn't go all out like some of his other songs in his discography. But this album's not bad at all. I did like I think 9 out of the 12 songs on it. And the 3 songs I didn't like on this album, 2 of them were not very good at all. Then there was one other that I was just kind of like, I don't know if I should put that in my playlist, but it still wasn't a bad song, you know? And that song was titled A Little Much. That song wasn't bad, but I just didn't think it was good enough to be on my playlist. But it's still not a bad song. I will admit that was not that horrendous of a song. My top 3 songs on this album were 6 Feet, Spinning Me, and Tattoos and You. Those 3 songs were phenomenal. I was really debating on whether I should put 6 Feet or Spinning Me at number 1. Those 2 are very on par with each other. But though Spinning Me's ending, I did not care for that much, and it kind of knocked down a few points. So I put 6 Feet at number 1. But Spinning Me, don't get me wrong, that's a great song as well. Overall, I'd probably give this album like a 7 out of 10. I think that's good enough. I think this album could have been way better, and I think it had a lot more potential if he just went more into the instrumentals. I felt like it was too mellow and kind of boring to be a little higher on the list, but yeah. All right, next up we have Little Skies, The Evolution of the Rose. Now, I am one who really enjoys his first album, his debut album, which is Life of a Dark Rose. That album was phenomenal, a pure classic rap album, great album. I think there was only like 1 song on that entire 14-song album that I didn't care for. Other than that, that album was phenomenal front to back. So when I heard The Evolution of the Rose was coming to Spotify, I was like, oh my God, is he going back to his rap style? But then I realized he was going into another kind of genre that didn't relate at all to his first album. Though a lot of people have hated on him for that, I actually truly kind of enjoyed it in a way. I felt like he's really done bad in terms of rap recently. He fell off and completely on Unbothered and I don't even remember the other one. Out of Your Body music was horrible. He kind of fell off in the rap genre, so I'm glad he kind of switched the table and made himself into a new genre, and that is like trap rock, like Ian Dior's going for at the moment. And a lot of people say that they don't enjoy that, and that's fair enough. That's not what you came to Little Skies for, and it's changing now, so I get it. But I actually truly did enjoy it. I think he's making a good decision by not going to what he's continually failing on, which is rap. He switched the tables onto another genre and is trying to succeed in another genre, which I actually liked. I liked it a lot more. There were pretty good songs on this album, and he had a mixture. It wasn't just rock. It was more like a mixture of rap and rock, and the rap songs were good too, mostly. My top 3 songs on this album were Burn, Chaos, and Wildfire. Now, the only rap song on those 3 was Chaos, and that song is phenomenal. That's like classic Little Skies to me. A lot of people say that's the only good song on this album that I've heard from recent reviews. I don't agree. I loved Burn. Even though it's a rock one, I loved it. It had Landon Cube featured in it, and every time Little Skies and Landon Cube are together, they make banger songs, and it really proved in this one. Even though they both have really kind of fell off recently, when they're together, they truly show how talented they are together, and that was the case in this song, and I really do enjoy that song. Now, my least favorite song on this album, we're just gonna do one least favorite, was Ganja. That song was just kind of annoying the way he said ganja, and it was just a kind of an annoying song overall. I didn't care for it, and that was a rap song. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it like another 7 out of 10, like Ian Dior's album. They are both very on par with each other, in my opinion. They both were good, and they had their own strong suits, but they both as for Ian Dior's album, it was just kind of mellow and boring in some parts. But for Little Skies, it had some parts where it was just too much. It's not that it's bad, it's just that I couldn't get used to his rock style at the time, and still kind of today. So I'm going to put it as a 7 out of 10. All right, next up we have Juicy J and Logic's new album, Live in Color. Now, this album I didn't really like from the start. I wasn't listening to it right away. I actually wasn't expecting this album. I didn't even know about it until it fully released and was showing up on my Spotify recommended. I had no idea, even as a Logic fan, a huge Logic fan, I didn't know about this album releasing. So I felt like the promotion on it wasn't as good. And I felt like even though I didn't like it at the start, it grew on me a little bit. There are quite a few songs on it that I did like. What I don't like about this album in particular is how many skits there are and how many like discussions I think they're titled are. There are like 8, I think like 7 discussions within the album that just takes up so much space. And I get what they're going for, but skits are usually not that frequent in albums. I feel there's just too many. And there's one song, I think this is the very first song, that they have a really, really good start. And then they just start conversating for like a whole 2 minutes in the song, in the middle of the song. And then they go back to rapping. And that's what I really didn't like, because you can't cut that out and just like, you can't cut that part out in like a Spotify playlist, or if you were to try to, it would combine the two parts together because they beat switch. And I just didn't like that. I felt like there were too many conversations between Logic and Juicy J in the album. They like try to make it more of a story than music. I don't know. I just didn't care for that. But if I were to give this album a rating out of 10, this one would probably be like a 6 out of 10. I didn't expect this album to come out, and I wasn't truly impressed by it. There were a few songs that I did truly enjoy on this album. My top 3 songs, we're just going to go into that. My top 3 songs were The Problem, Black Rothstein featuring Wiz Khalifa. I don't know if I said that right, but we're just going to go with it. And I Need a Hug. These 3 songs were very good. The Problem is my one that I truly, really do enjoy. That beat was really good. It really went with the flow of Juicy J. And I love how Logic came onto it. He's not really on this album that much. He's really just the producer of it. But he does come onto this song and he does go off. So I really did enjoy that song. Other than that, I think this album's a 6 out of 10. Like I said, let's move on. All right, next we have a highly praised album this year, which is Clips's Let God Sort 'Em Out. This is a phenomenal album. At the start, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I did like the start of it, but then towards the middle, I kind of didn't like it. But going back to it several times, it grew on me quite a bit. And it's now one of my favorite albums from this year. This album is phenomenal. The production value is great. I didn't actually know who Clips was. Obviously, I'm not that, I wasn't in that generation I wasn't in that generation growing up with that. So hearing this album with a new artist and all that, I only knew about this album from a post on YouTube. And it got me curious on what the album was and who this group was, which is Clips. And I'm so glad I looked at it because this album is phenomenal. And Pharrell Williams is an excellent producer on this album. He went all in. This album is very well produced. My top 3 songs on this album were The Birds Don't Sing, Chains and Whips, and So Be It. These 3 songs, I think these are like the very first 3 songs, honestly. I don't remember if there might be one in between, but these 3 songs are phenomenal. Birds Don't Sing in one particular is such a great song. That instrumental is so good. The production value on that song hits everything else out of the park. Even with Chains and Whips and So Be It, those three songs are phenomenal in terms of production. Even the lyrics are really, really good. The story, the rapping, all that's great. But in particular, The Birds Don't Sing was the first one I heard, and I was so impressed by it. It was so good. That one I did like from the very, very start. That one just is a phenomenal song. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, this one would probably be like a 9 out of 10. This one's a very, very, very good album. There were only I think 3 songs I didn't care for on it. And 2 of them were just I don't know, they just weren't my thing. One of them I just didn't truly like at all. That was Inglourious Basterds. And I know a lot of people like to praise that song, but I didn't care for the beat on that song at all. That's the only one I truly didn't care for. Other than that, this album's front to back great. All right, next up we have an album that a lot of you probably haven't heard of. This is only reason I know about this album is because I saw it on that same post from Rap Albums of 2025 with Clips' album. This is McKinley Dixon's Magic Alive. And I'm glad I looked at this album. It wasn't completely perfect by any means. It had a lot of trash on it. And a lot of people praise this album as one of the best albums from this year that have listened to it. I just don't agree with that at all. Clips' album was a lot better. Even Hurry Up Tomorrow from The Weeknd. And I'm going to talk about that later in the video. That album was great. That tops it too. But Magic Alive wasn't bad. I liked how he put like a jazz aspect into rap. Usually you don't see that anymore in rap. It's just like these basic beats nowadays. But this one was a really, really good album in terms of production and the music and the instrumentals. Those were really, really good. He had like a jazz aspect, like I said. The instrumentals are the part that carried this album the most. There were parts in the album that I didn't like his rapping. He kind of went too weird and unique with it, just for my taste. I know a lot of people might enjoy that, and that's why I think a lot of people praise this album is because they like the unique artistic taste in rap. I have that too, but not in terms of how unique he kind of went in some songs. But I like this album a lot. My top 3 songs of this album were Could Have Been Different, Listen Gentle, and Run, Run, Run Part 2. These 3 songs are phenomenal. They are great. And like I said, the whole instrumental part of this album is what carries this album. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, this would probably be, I'm going to go with 6.5 out of 10 for this one. It wasn't perfect. I think it's the worst one we've ranked so far, just in terms of being too unique in some parts, too experimental for my taste. But I do agree with people who would say that this is a really, really good album. It is. I just, in some songs, in some cases, I didn't care for it. But that's just my taste. All right, next up we have Ray Vaughn's The Good, The Bad, and The Dollar Menu. This album was phenomenal. And this is another album that I didn't know the artist, but I looked at that one post and like looked up who this artist was. And I went to listen to this album, and I'm so glad I did. This might be possibly the best album I've heard this year in terms of consistency. This album was phenomenal, and I really enjoyed the production on this album too. There's a few songs on this album that I really truly enjoy the message of, the storytelling. This album was just very good in consistency. Almost every single song on this album I loved. First half and middle of the album were phenomenal, straight from front to back. And then it started falling off a tiny bit at the end, but that wasn't anything too bad. Like I said, this album was just so good. I am glad I figured out this album existed. My top 3 songs on this album were Flat Shasta, Flocker's Remorse, and Dollar Menu. These 3 songs were just phenomenal. Great songs. Flat Shasta was the one that I was talking about with the storytelling. It's a very emotional song. It reminded me a lot of like the song Stand from Eminem in a way. It was just a very emotional, great song, very artistic, and that's what really set this album off for me. This is just a very good album. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, this would be another 9 out of 10. Actually, you know what? No. I'm going to give this one a little bit more, 9.5 out of 10. This was just such a good album. In terms of how many songs were on the album and how many songs I liked, it was a very good album. This consistency of this album was phenomenal. All right, next up we have Larry June, 2 Chainz, and The Alchemists. Life is Beautiful, another album that I didn't know about until I looked at that post. This album is not anything to write home about. I see a lot of people praising this album. This is probably going to be one of the worst ones we ranked so far today. And it's not, I don't know why people praise this album. It's too experimental for my taste. Maybe I can see a little bit of what people are saying on this, but other than that, this album was not it just for my taste personally. Top 3 songs on this album were Colossal, Generation, and Epiphany. These 3 songs were good. I really do truly enjoy Colossal. That one is a really good song. The production on that song, the beat, phenomenal. I really like the uniqueness of that one in particular. Generation and Epiphany were good too, but honestly, those were the only 3 songs on this album that I enjoyed. The rest of the songs on this album were just too experimental for my taste, and I just didn't enjoy them. So if I were to give this album a rating out of 10, this would probably be like a 4 out of 10. In terms of how many songs there were on this album and only liking 3, I can't give it any higher than that. I'm sorry. All right, next up we have Joyner Lucas's ADHD 2. I really enjoyed the first ADHD, the song. I didn't ever listen to the full album except for a few other songs on that album. The first ADHD song was phenomenal. I really liked how he went along with the storytelling in it. And I'm not gonna lie, this album was better than the first one in my opinion. In terms of consistency, there were about 8 songs on this album that I enjoyed. My top 3 songs on this album were "Tear Me Down," "White Noise," and "One of Them." Now, I like this album a lot because of the production a lot. There are a few instances where I didn't like the features that he brought in, like J Balvin. I didn't like his part, and a few others that I didn't care for. And there was one feature that I actually was very surprised I enjoyed, because I don't really like Ava Max as an artist, but she did her part in the best one I ranked, was just "Tear Me Down." That song, the production value is what takes it home, but her part is not bad at all. It's pretty good. It adds a lot to the song, and I think that song's phenomenal. I still listen to it right now. It's a great, great song. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, this would probably be like a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's a really, really good album, but in terms of consistency, it's not the greatest. It's kind of mid in terms of how many songs I liked on the album versus how many were actually truly on the album. This album was good. It just had a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses on it. That's why I'm going to leave it there. All right, next album we have up is Fitz and the Tantrums, "Man on the Moon." Now, this album was somewhat disappointing to me. It was, in a great deal, it was pretty disappointing. I really have been getting into Fitz and the Tantrums music a lot recently, and a lot of you probably don't know who they are. They're the people who made "Hand Clap" and "Out of My League," 2 huge songs at the time. But lately, they've been just falling off completely, and their last 2 albums have not been it. And that's "Man on the Moon" and the other one was "Let Yourself Free." "Man on the Moon" was a great improvement from "Let Yourself Free." "Let Yourself Free" was trash, but this one wasn't entirely bad, but it wasn't. It definitely was their second worst album. This album just doesn't. It's too much pop and too much like disco dance. I feel that just doesn't relate to nowadays, and it just kind of doesn't bring much to the table. There were some good songs on it. I'm not gonna lie, but the majority of the songs, and especially the end of the album, the ending half, the second half of that album is just. I think there were only like 2 songs I liked on it, and there were 14 songs on this album, and I just listening, and it came out last night, so I'm listening to it. It might just have to grow on me, but overall, right now, as of now, it's not a good album to me. It's just kind of mid. There are 7 songs I liked out of the 7, or out of the 14 that are on this album, meaning it's just a 50-50. But anyways, the top 3 songs on this album were "Ruin the Night," "Umbrella," and "The Good, the Bad, the Ugly." These 3 songs were very exceptional. They were very good. "Ruin the Night" was the first song they released that was going to be on this album. I still think it's the best. It was a phenomenal song, and I think the rest of them aren't bad. They're just not as good as the singles they came out with. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy this album too much. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, it would probably be like a 5 out of 10, just right in the middle. I thought it was so disappointing. I thought it was going to be way better, even with their last album not showing off very much. I thought it would be better, and it was better than the last album, but not by much. So I'm just going to leave it there. 5 out of 10. All right, next 2 albums we have are actually not new albums. They're more anniversary deluxe albums. Both of them are. And first one we're going to rank is AWOL Nation's "Run," 10th anniversary album deluxe. And this original album was phenomenal. I think there's only 1 song I don't like on the original album. And they added 4 new songs on this album with this deluxe version. And it was so good. So good. The first song on this 4 was phenomenal. And that one, I'm just going to go into my top 3 after saying that. My top 3 songs on this album were "Found Atlas," "Walking Away," and "Actors Have No Shame." These 3 songs were so good, especially "Found Atlas." That production on that song, the instrumental, is so good. Very unique, and just went along with the vibe of "Run" and the original album. This album, they did it properly. I really did truly enjoy this deluxe anniversary album. The songs were great. They related to the original stuff that had come out years prior. It just had that vibe to it. So I really did enjoy this anniversary album. If I were to give this album a rating out of 10, it'd definitely probably be like a 9 out of 10. In terms of consistency, and even with the old stuff on the album, it's definitely a 9 out of 10. It's definitely a really, really good album. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. All right, and now we're on to our last album, which is another anniversary album, which is Juice WRLD's Chloe, what are you doing? My cat wants to play. All right. Yeah. After that, I don't know what to say. What was I saying? It was Juice WRLD's Legends Never Die anniversary album. It was 5 years. This album was one of my favorite Juice WRLD albums of all time. It was right on par with Goodbye Good Riddance. This album is phenomenal. It carries my favorite song from Juice WRLD in general, which is Stay High. This album blew me away when I first listened to it. And then they come out with this announcement that they're going to announce, or that they're going to release a deluxe edition, 5-year anniversary, which is this album. And they announced at the start that it'd be 4 new songs. And when I look at it, 2 of the songs are songs that were released back in 2023, which are In My Head and what was the other one? Oh, Face to Face, which are so old now. And then they did release 2 new songs, but why? Why would they not release 2? He's got so many unreleased songs, and they could have just released, they only released 2 new songs and then included 2 songs that have already been released. And it just, I don't know. That was not cool by them. His team. It was not, and I really feel like it craps on Juice WRLD's legacy. And I really am kind of tired of them doing this whole thing where they're trying to interpret lyrics from Juice WRLD and parts from Juice WRLD into XXXTentacion's. So they're trying to like combine their songs together, their unreleased songs, and it just doesn't work sometimes. And I will admit that this time they had one song called The Way, and this song was not bad. It was definitely better than the Whoa remix that came out earlier this year. But overall, this album was a very big letdown. For a legendary album such as Legends Never Die, it was definitely a letdown. The only, I'll say the best song on this album, because there's only 2, was definitely All Life Long. Even though this album was definitely a letdown, this song stood out a little bit. This song was pretty good. Still like it a lot today. And yeah, if I were to give this album a rating out of 10, it'd probably be like in terms of the 2 new songs, probably a 4 out of 10. Just not very good. I don't know. They could have done so much more with the deluxe version. He's got so many unreleased songs that have just not been released yet, and they chose to do these 2. Just not good. I don't know. It was very disappointing. All right, now we're on to the tier list. We are going to start with Cycles from Ian Dior. And I actually included these albums from the last time we ranked them in part 1. And right now I'm going to start off by not even ranking these. I don't know what I was smoking on while rating Hurry Up Tomorrow. I apologize for the horrible rating I gave to it, because I have listened to it more and more as time went on, and this album was phenomenal. I still carries my favorite song for this year, which is Open Hearts, and a lot of the other songs on this album were phenomenal. Only reason I didn't like some of these songs on this album were because of the features. The Weeknd's part on all of these songs pretty much were great songs. All right, now we'll move on to the new albums. Cycles, I think this is probably going to be like an A tier. It's pure A tier in my opinion, just because it was good, but at the same time, I don't believe it would be an S tier at all. It just wasn't. It was definitely better than Nothing's Ever Good Enough 2. That's why I'm going to put it into A. It was just not as good as it could have. I felt like it could have been way better, but it still was still a good album. All right, Evolution of the Rose. Next, we are going to put this one also in A. Like I said, these 2 albums, Cycles and Evolution of the Rose, are like kind of similar in terms of rappers going to the more rock sound. This one's probably going to be worse than Cycles, though. I just didn't think it was as good as Cycles, but yeah, Cycles is a tiny bit better than that one. All right, now we're on to Juicy J and Logic. Now, this one's probably going to go B, I think. This one's just not as good as it could have been. Even like I said, I just came across it. I didn't even know this album was coming out. The promotion was not good apparently, because I didn't even know about this album, and I'm a huge Logic fan. So I'm going to put this one right here. What are you doing, Chloe? My goodness, my cat. Again. Okay. I'm going to wait for her. All right, yeah, this one's definitely going to go into the end of B. I don't think it's as good as these 3 albums. We're just going to leave it there. Now, Clips's Let God Sort 'Em Out was phenomenal. Like I said, this one's probably going to go right here. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as The Weeknd's Hurry Up Tomorrow in terms of production, but it's very close. They're both great produced albums. This is definitely a good spot for it. I think this is a great album. All right, Magic Alive by McKinley Dixon. This one's probably going to go... oh my goodness, Chloe. I'm going to put this one right here. I think it was the worst of B tier. I don't think it was in terms of like really, really good songs. Like I said, it was kind of too experimental, too unique for some of my tastes. But it still was a good album. I don't think it's near C or D at all. But it's still a mid album to me in terms of consistency. All right, the good, the bad, the dollar menu. This one's definitely an S tier song. I think it's definitely better than Clips' album. I don't know if it's better than Hurry Up Tomorrow though. You know, I think I am. In terms of consistency and features, it was phenomenal. It was good. Really, really good. I think it was a little better than The Weeknd's album just because The Weeknd had like a lot of bad features, but this album, Ray Vaughn had a ton of good features on this album. Like the features did their part very well in this album. So yeah, I think this one's going to be a tiny bit better than Hurry Up Tomorrow. I think this is truly going to be my favorite album of this year so far. This album, I was very blown away by. This album is great. All right, Life is Beautiful. This is C, definitely. I think it's going to go even behind No Holds Barred. This, just in terms of consistency, this album wasn't it for me. Just not my taste. It just had too many experimental instrumentals, too many experimental flows, and I just didn't care for it that much, except for those 3 songs that I did enjoy on it. All right, ADHD 2. I think this one's going to be a B tier. Yeah, I think this one's going to be B. I think it's going to be at the top of B, though, because I did really enjoy some of the songs on that album. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be an A or an S, but it's not going to be also a C or D. It's right in the middle, kind of, but it's actually kind of above. I don't know. It's still a really, really good album is what I'm trying to get at. All right, Man on the Moon, Fits in the Tantrums. This one's probably going to go C. Yeah, I'm going to put this. No, you know what? I said mid, so I'm going to put this one into the bottom of B. I was just very disappointed by this album. It wasn't very good at all. There's 7 songs on it were good, and some of them were better than others. But the songs I didn't like were just not it at all. They were trash. Like I said, that album was just too much pop, and I wish they'd go back to their old style of songs. I just can't find it right now. I don't know why. All right, AWOL Nation's Run 10th anniversary. This is going to be in terms of deluxe albums, an anniversary album, this is going to be an S. It's a very, very good album. Yeah, this one's definitely going to be an S. I think this one's... Okay, this one's going to be the S. I'm just going to leave it there. Right here, choosing to do this while I film this video. Juice WRLD's Legends Never Die Deluxe Edition. This one's going to be a C as well. I just was very disappointed with the choices they made, his team made on this deluxe album. It was a big letdown. It was not it compared to some other song or some other. Yeah, it just wasn't it. The fact that they released 2 songs that have been out for 2-3 years now, that just was not a good decision by them. I didn't care for that decision at all. But anyways, guys, this is going to be the end of the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm really surprised by all the albums we have added within 2 months of the first part of this video. I am planning on making a part 3 whenever more albums come out and more great songs come out from these albums. Yeah, like I said, the year's not over. We have a lot more albums coming our way. There might even be a part 4 by the time this year ends. But yeah, anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.